You can still get absolutely blazed even if you are very far away from the plants as you burn them during a smoke on the water mission. This makes absolutely no sense, and there are many more things that also don't make sense, so here we go. Thank you my channel members, subscribe so we can hit 50,000 subs by the end of the year maybe? I don't know, but let's dive in. The gun van only holds like 7 weapons at a time. This wouldn't be a problem, but some weapons can only be bought exclusively at the gun van. This makes it so you have to wait sometimes weeks just to buy the weapon you want from it. It makes no sense why they don't just make all weapons available all the time from here, the ones that are exclusive to the gun van, so you don't have to wait so long to buy the weapons you want. I theorize they do this to get people to check into GTA Online often to see if the gun they want is available, but that's a pretty far off theory in my opinion. For some reason, we are just entrusted to drive armored trucks with valuables in the back for group sex and Bobcat security. They don't go through any vetting process or anything at all? Not a simple background check either? If they did one, they would see that we got arrested in the past and have a mugshot. I'm pretty sure any criminal history, regardless of size, would put your job in jeopardy if you worked for a security company, but for whatever reason, they do no background checks or checks on the person at all. They also don't question that we don't speak, but maybe it's in their guidelines that they can't discriminate based on not being able to talk or something. I don't really know. At this point in our GTA Online's player's career, we are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Or if you're like me, you're worth a couple billion. All legit of course, but you know, we won't get into that. But for the car wash, Higgins Helltours, and Smoke on the Water, we still do the legit business work ourselves. I should not be taking a damn customer's car to the car wash when I own the car wash. At least in the auto shop, you could hire employees to drive the customer cars to their respective destinations, but I have to deliver kush, give people tours around the city in a helicopter, and wash cars by myself as a billionaire? Obviously, it's a balance thing because Rockstar has to slow you down somehow, but in the lore, in our character's career, it makes no sense to do the legitimate work ourselves when we have enough money to hire employees. I don't understand how the nightclub popularity dropped so incredibly fast. Did you just blink? Well, your nightclub popularity just dropped a bar, buddy. It makes no sense how fast it falls, and it's another one of those things where why can't we just hire people to promote our clubs? You're telling me I can't pay someone 10 grand every day to put up posters around the city of my club? I would pay that. The actual promotion missions themselves are also not linear at all. It's not like a set 5-minute mission and boom, you're good to go. Some of these missions take 5 minutes, some take 15. Regardless how long it takes though, you will always receive the same amount of popularity. Just throwing someone outside my club also increases my popularity as well. How the hell does that work? If you saw someone getting tossed out of a club by 2 dudes, how does that make you say, "Oh yes, a fine establishment to spend my time in, take my money"? The promotional side of the nightclub just makes no sense at all. Jody from Agents of Sabotage mentions during one of the missions that she quote read our file and saw that our brain functions differently than most. But my question is, how did she see a brain scan of us or whatever? We've never had anything like that done, and I doubt that happened before we flew into Los Santos. Wouldn't our player also be concerned how she obtained that information even if it did happen? I know if someone told me that they know my brain functions differently than most, I'm 1 gonna be insulted, or 2, I'm gonna check to make sure my windows are closed. Maybe even check my closet as well for a special machine or something. I don't really know, but I'd be a little bit concerned if someone told me that. Something that doesn't make sense and infuriates me to this day is why they decided to add a feature, register as boss, making us all think that you can register as a boss and do any business work you want, only for it to be a sub-menu for CEOs and club presidents. Why can't there just be one boss or whatever title they want to make, a king or whatever, that allows me to sell goods from my bunker and motorcycle businesses and whatever else I want to sell all under one umbrella? Instead, I have to retire as a CEO, hope there's a slot in the session I am in, to then register as a president just to buy supplies for my businesses. It makes absolutely no sense, and they should really fix this at this point. Why do we use a BMW 3 Series to deliver pharmaceutical products to customers? If I saw that, I would be like, okay, I see you using the tax write-offs and whatnot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it. I would much rather use it than a slow van, but it's just a bit striking, you know? How does Jamal from the salvage yard know where to find cars to tow? Usually cars might have trackers on them if they're on an auto loan and the person doesn't have good credit because they might be untrustworthy, or maybe they had a repo in the past, but that doesn't explain how Jamal finds them. We clearly aren't taking them with the permission of the bank or anyone because we're scrapping them for parts. So is there just like a web forum of cars that you should tow or something? Maybe if you know someone you don't like or an ex that cheated on you, you just put their car up there and wait and watch. How has the Los Santos car meet not been shut down? I'm pretty sure cops would hear loud cars inside the building or cars entering the building to begin with as it looks abandoned. I know the actual car meet itself is underground, so that might suppress some noise, but people hang out on the outside and there's banners and you could clearly tell that something's going on in there. The actual underground component also doesn't make sense to me because the Ellis River is right next to the building. You can't really go under that, or at least you shouldn't, and the space below the building definitely implies that it spreads over where the Ellis River is. When we first meet Mr. Faber on his jet, Raph starts to mention what businesses will be good fronts for illegal activities, and Mr. Faber quickly says to be quiet and discuss that when we are away from him. This is obviously so he doesn't get picked up on a wire or something, but the association alone is enough to book him with Raph and Madrazo if that is his concern, which it obviously is. When the cops moved up the chain, they would find that Mr. Faber orchestrates everything over everyone. Something that also doesn't make sense about Mr. Faber is how we only found out about him just now. Madrazo claims that, quote, every dollar in this town goes through him. But we've been making money in Los Santos for over a decade and we haven't heard of him at all until now. We sell drugs and guns and anything that will turn a profit, but we haven't heard of him until this moment with Madrazo. So clearly not every dollar goes through him, or at least until this point. Something that doesn't make sense to me and something that is actually valid is the timer system in GTA Online. Okay, say you want to spin the lucky wheel at the casino at 5 PM on Monday. You cannot spin the wheel until 5 PM on Tuesday. This is because it of course has a 24-hour cooldown, but the cooldown starts when you spin the wheel. It should actually start at 12 AM every day for the sake of convenience. If you have a busy day at work, maybe need to stay longer, then you get home at 7 PM and spin the wheel, which is fine. But if you get out at the normal time the next day, let's just say 4 PM is the standard time, you still need to wait 3 hours, but for you, it's been a full day in real life already. Maybe you just can't stay on the game that long because you have to cook or run errands or whatever. It isn't fair to people to have to wait 24 hours of whatever time they spin the wheel at when the timer should just reset at 12 in the morning for everyone. The only downside, and the reason why I believe Rockstar doesn't do this, is because someone could technically spin the wheel twice in 2 minutes. Because if you spin it at 11:59 and wait until 12 in the morning, then you get 2 spins. That is a minor problem though, and the clock should just start at 12 in the morning for everyone, so they could get a spin every time they get on. When you sell a special item from the cargo warehouse, you need to sell it out of a massive truck or plane, but most of these come in briefcases. Why do we need a delivery vehicle to deliver an item so small? It would actually be beneficial for it to be an item that the character holds instead of a whole delivery vehicle, as we can be quicker and possibly safer in a faster, more armored delivery vehicle as well. Doesn't really make much sense to me. Also, while we're in the warehouse, why can't we just call our warehouse employees to source crates for us instead of going up to them one by one in person? It would be much faster, and that's probably why Rockstar hasn't done it, to be fair. What really doesn't make sense to me is the pricing structure in-game for cars. The Canis Castigator, based off a Jeep Compass or whatever, is $1.6 million. The current Woodlander, based off an old Subaru Forester, I believe a second gen, is also $1.6 million, so the same price for about the same car, I guess? But the Sentinel GTS, based on the newest M3, is also $1.6 million. It seems that price has no correlation to performance or anything you're actually getting. I think some Rockstar employee just makes up a price and plops it right in the game. It'll be interesting to see how car pricing in GTA 6 works though when it releases next year, hopefully. In a mission for the car wash, you are tasked to go to the docks and retrieve a car full of cash. It's in a container however, and you are able to shoot the lock off, which is fine I guess. But in the Mr. Faber mission Compound Interest, you must get a saw to saw off the lock, and you are not able to just shoot it off like you are in the other mission, but it is the same lock as far as I'm concerned. Why are we able to shoot it off in one mission but not in the other? The real answer is because, once again, Rockstar has to slow us down somehow, so they add an extra step to get the lock off the container when it doesn't need it. Ever since the start of GTA Online, we have been able to call Merryweather for services like a backup helicopter, ammo drops, or whatever. This made sense back in the day because we hadn't really done anything at that point to get on Merryweather's bad side back in 2013. But at this point, we have attacked Merryweather multiple times over the course of GTA Online. However, we are still able to call them for these services, which really makes no sense. Some might say that we call anonymously so Merryweather doesn't know that it's us, but I'm sure they know who we are at this point and our number, especially after Project Overthrow and San Andreas Mercenaries, during which we sabotage and attack Merryweather multiple times. The relationship just shouldn't be there anymore. Something that irks me is the fact that I have to go to my bail office and manually tell my employees to go do their job I pay them a yearly salary for. Why don't they just work on their own without me having to tell them? Why can't I just call them and say, hey, there's a dude in Sandy Shores that we need to apprehend, or something like that? And when they're at the office, what are they doing with their time? I don't get any bonus passive income for these bozos taking up space in my office. I wish I could just sell these fools, and while we're here, Jeanette could go too, because this bitch always on her phone talking about some nonsense on Life Invader. Something that doesn't make sense from a game standpoint, not a logic standpoint, is why NPCs stop here just outside this parking garage when you park in the median lane. If you sit here at this location for a couple of minutes, you will soon have a pile up of like 20 cars for no reason at all. The NPCs just weirdly sit here and don't question anything at all. They'll even stay if you get out of the car as well, which is quite odd indeed, and it certainly makes no sense. How does Franklin know which payphone to call to get to our player? And how does he know it's us when we call him via a payphone? Just imagine going up to a payphone and call someone in a pinch and hearing,
"Yeah, there's this guy I need you to kill, and if you run him over, I'll give you extra money."
It never really made sense to me, because you're calling from a payphone, and when the phone rings to Franklin, it will not have a caller ID because it's from a payphone, not your phone. So how does he know it's you? We may never know, I guess. It never made sense to me why we can't sell our homes. We can only trade them in for a cheaper property and we will get reimbursed the difference, but it's not the same. Sometimes when your boy Falls was on hard times, I thought, why can't I just sell my house to fully live the American dream, which is get rich enough to buy a house just to get broke enough to sell it. For low levels, I think this would actually be a good feature, as they might have some apartments or garages that they don't use anymore and would rather just take the money over upgrading them. Rockstar honestly has no excuse to not add this, but I will say GTA Online's next update is supposedly about mansions. If they do add those, then I don't see why we can't finally have the feature to sell our properties, but we'll have to wait and see. As somebody who takes pride in their cars in GTA Online, whenever I drive a car off-road or on a trail and brown patches of mud randomly appear on my car, I tell myself every time, this doesn't make any sense. This simply isn't how mud works. It doesn't just appear in patches like this, like poop. This literally looks like somebody pooped and threw it at my car. The mud would spread evenly across the front of the car and trickle down the further back the mud went on the car. I sincerely hope that the mud and dirt in GTA 6 is reworked. It's a stupid thing to say, but this annoys me so much. I'm even going off script here. Like, they need to fix this right now. It never made sense to me why Rockstar made so many businesses so close to each other, and it's the same business. For instance, there are like 3 bunkers, as you can see here in Blaine County, all within a mile of each other. Why wouldn't you just buy the cheapest one? There are also 2 nightclubs within a block of each other in Vinewood. There are also 3 hangars in Fort Zancudo as well, which is quite unnecessary because most people are just going to buy the cheapest one. I think Rockstar does this so they can say that they added a lot of businesses, or so it looks like you have more choices than you really do, because most of the time you're just going to pick the cheapest one or whichever is closer to your other businesses. I guess I don't mind it, but it can cause clutter on the map unnecessarily, but some may disagree with me certainly. For some reason, business vehicles like the Bounty Hunter van and the tow truck cost $7,500 to paint, but to paint a supercar or something, it's like $1,000. It's just a weird choice for Rockstar to make. We aren't going to paint these things often, so why make it expensive? If anything, our regular cars get repainted a lot if you're anything like me and change a car's color every time you see it basically. The safe in the agency has like 3 shelves inside of it, right? Well, it doesn't matter because it fills up whenever the first shelf is full, which makes absolutely no sense. What's the point of having a large safe that is hidden behind a wall and everything for it to reach maximum capacity after one shelf is full? There is none, and quite frankly, this is yet another case of Rockstar wanting you to be more active on the game instead of just letting the safe accrue money, because then that would be too good and Rockstar wouldn't want that, now would they? Why do we have to deliver pizza on a moped? Wouldn't it just make so much more sense and be quicker if you used a regular car? It doesn't even have to be fast. Just let us use like a Camry or some Accord. I don't know, just let us use anything. Matter of fact, you get penalized if the pizza gets cold, but look at what you're driving. How is the customer going to get mad at me because the whack company gave me a damn moped to drive around the city delivering pizza in a not so timely manner? Also, why can't we do these missions in passive mode? We don't use guns, and the amount of people who have killed me while I'm just trying to do my 9 to 5 is crazy. Why can't I just deliver my pizza in peace and in a car while we're at it? None of the delivery vehicles for the special cargo warehouses make any sense in my opinion. The boat has an armor and speed upgrade. It barely increases speed, and armor is irrelevant on a boat because somebody will just light you up with missiles. You're a slow and easy target to hit that's also big, so armor really doesn't matter. The plane has an armor and jammer upgrade, with the key word being upgrade. Armor is very slightly increased, and the jammer only takes a bit less time to recharge, when it should just disable lock-on entirely. The truck has an armor and bulletproof tires upgrade as well, when it should just come with those by default. I mean, it's an armored truck for crying out loud. My point is, none of these upgrades will even help, as an oppressor can deal with all of them very easily, so it doesn't make sense to buy them, so I recommend not doing so. Why hasn't Rockstar just gave us the ability to buy duffel bags? It just doesn't make sense when you see how much trouble people go through just to get them. Rockstar could charge like 500 grand and fools will pay for it. I say fools, but I would indeed be one of those fools. It just seems like free money for Rockstar from shark cards or whatever, but even without that, it doesn't even make sense. So why just add them already, man? When customizing weapons at a gun store, you have the option to add an extended clip. From a term standpoint, this doesn't make sense, as the proper term would be an extended magazine. I'll put a graphic on screen of the difference between a clip and a magazine, but they absolutely are not interchangeable. It's funny because you can actually see Rockstar contradict themselves, as some weapons like the heavy shotgun have the option to add a quote extended clip, but right below that is an option to add a drum magazine, which is the correct term. Shout out to y'all, man, because you guys actually corrected me when I called it the wrong term in one video I made a while ago, and I never forgot since then, so I appreciate y'all. Whenever you buy a drink from a vending machine, you don't insert any bills and a drink magically comes out somehow. Very in the weeds here, but it's still funny nonetheless. In the stash houses, they leave the safe code on the wall on a sticky note. You know, usually things have passwords or codes to, you know, stay secure. When you put the code next to the thing the code is protecting, it kind of defeats the purpose of the code in the first place. You might as well just carry a key instead of a sticky note with the code or whatever. Martin sends a cryptic message to us when you own a bail office, telling us he knows that we are a bounty hunter and that he has some targets for us. He uses really broad terms in an attempt to cover his tracks should the authorities see the message, but he does it so poorly and it doesn't make any sense at all. Firstly, he tells us to capture a target, quote, fatally using a weapon of his choice. He doesn't say kill this target with a specific gun, but he may as well. Any reasonable judge or jury would see this language and convict him. He tries so hard to be broad with his terms, but it's funny to see how awful it looks because it's like, go get this person when they're unconscious or not breathing. It's like, this isn't gonna work in a case, bro. I never understood why we are charged $150,000 for a bottle of champagne in our own penthouse at the Diamond, and even in our own nightclub, which is even crazier. How are you gonna tell the boss, sorry, you gotta pay 150 grand for this bottle, when I own the damn building? Even if it was given to us for free once a week or something, that'd be cool. I remember my first time in the penthouse very vividly. I was with all my friends and I wanted to show off a little bit, so I bought the Diamond bottle, trying to be all cool. Yeah, I'm about to go pop this champagne, be a baller. But I didn't look at the price, and let's just say I regretted it immediately because I wasn't necessarily rich, to say the least. In the salvage yard, it makes absolutely no sense to salvage a car instead of just selling it. It's not really a risk to sell because the docks are pretty close to every salvage yard, unless you have the one in Paleto Bay. You lose out on free money by just driving it a mile or two. I don't know why anyone would salvage their cars, but if you are doing that right now, I'd advise just selling it, and if you suspect someone's about to blow you up, just close the application and try again. There's a prep mission for the podium robbery in the salvage yard that requires you to plant a bomb behind the toilet in the Diamond. This makes absolutely no sense because one, this is the women's bathroom, maybe because it's 2025 and, you know, but they don't question me at all. We also assume no one will see this massive bomb on the side of the toilet, which is pretty hilarious. I'm pretty sure the bathrooms are cleaned regularly, so while the workers were cleaning, they would just see this bomb and the operation would be blown. Quite a strange robbery, but I guess it's cool. It will never make sense to me, so as to the reason NPCs actively try to crash into us for no reason at all. It's not even like, okay, we're breaking the law, maybe they had a green, maybe we took the red, so we T-boned them or whatever. Cars will actively speed and slow down in order to get in your way. They will spawn right in front of you and crash into you. All for what? I used to theorize that Rockstar did this to intentionally slow down the player because back in the Xbox 360 and PS3 days, the hardware and technology was minimal. So in order to prevent us from going too fast, Rockstar made these cars crash into us. Technology now, however, is perfectly capable of running the game while we are traveling at high speeds. It would be great if they just disabled these damn NPCs that target us like the Nemesis from Resident Evil, then we'd be cool, but they haven't done that yet. And that is everyone. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please subscribe and leave a like. It greatly helps me out. And thank you to my channel members as well. And we have a good amount. Our channel membership is growing pretty fast here on YouTube, building a nice little family, which are Joshua, Agaro, Jacob, Nekoshi, DuelingDiego, Karso, Byron, KOIAER, and Anawack. I greatly appreciate all my channel members. If you want to become one, just subscribe and it will be replaced by a button that says join, and then you can become a channel member. Of course, you don't have to, but if you want to, the option's there. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate you all, and I'll see you all maybe in a week. I don't know. My uploads kind of, it's been pretty consistent. You got to give it to me, all right? You know, I've been uploading once a week or so, so maybe in a week or within the next week. And I'll see you all later. Have a good day or night or evening. I'll see you all later, and goodbye. Hey, hey, look, hey, look, hey, look. You better subscribe, because if you do not, I might cry. You better subscribe, I ran up the bands in GTA 5. You better subscribe, because if you do not, you might cry. You better subscribe, because if you don't, I might die. You better subscribe, I'm about to go crazy on the beat. You better subscribe, hey, wait for the beat to drop, ooh, you better subscribe, hey, you better subscribe, I'm out of breath. You better subscribe,